Welcome back and welcome to Deep Dive with Dr. D. This episode will be the last episode telling the story of my life. This one comes out on what I believe is March 28th, and I'm going to use the last day of the month to just kind of wrap it up. Having been done telling the story of my life up until today's time period. And then in April, we're switching things up. And if I'm being real clear, if I'm being honest with you, I just heard someone talking about when people say that, what, you weren't being honest before? I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I do think about doing interviews, but I record these with video, so then I'm like, oh, I got to set up the room different. I got to get another microphone. Alas. Oh, there you go, Megan. I said alas. So today I am going to start from where we left off, which was about 2019. And I'm going to talk about my mom because it would be, in fact, it was November of 2018 that she would end up in the hospital due to breathing complications. And this had happened in the past over the last few years with her with COPD and the progression of it. And I remember thinking, they'll figure it out and she'll be able to go home, and we just need to adjust the, inhalers or medication. And but that's not what happened. What happened is we got hit with the reality that my mom's lungs were nearing their end. And I remember very well the day that the physician came in to give us that news. And I'll never forget that experience. If you work in the medical field, please, 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 please. We have many great people that work in the medical field and have amazing, what are called bedside manners. I don't work in the field. I'm an educator, but I've been a counselor. Anyway, it was not a positive experience for me in how that individual handled themselves. They, in my view, came from a position of authority. Alas. There's your alas, Megan. My mom got the news that there was nothing more that could be done. And so her choice, her choice, she had choices. She had two choices. She could either go to a place on the west side, in central Washington, where we live in Allensburg. We call it the west side, the Seattle-Tacoma area, because it's west of the mountain range. She could go to that area, and I think it was Shoreline or Linwood. It was quite a ways away. It would be at least a 3-hour drive each way to a place that could help her breathe, have her with 24-hour medical care. It was specifically for COPD. And it could extend her life some or maybe not. And the doctor did give factual information. It's just how he gave it was rude. And the other option Mom had was to go into hospice care in her home. And so I was there, Mom was there, Katrina was there. My sister Sherry was there. I'm pretty sure John was there, her husband. And we all had to have a hard conversation. Mom had to make the decision. It was Mom's decision. She had mental state of mind. It wasn't that at all. It was simply her lungs were failing. And she made the choice that she wanted to be at home. So she would go home on Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure it was Thanksgiving or right that week. But we had to, before they would release her, we had to get a hold of hospice care. If you've been through this, it'll all come back for you. And We had to get her a hospital bed. We had to make arrangements with hospice through the hospital for them to come by. And we did it. We got it in place. One of my favorite pictures of me and my mom in her last months of life, or of the day we brought her home. And it was in her living room, and she's laying in her bed, her hospital bed, and we made it comfortable. We made it nice. And she started hospice care in Thanksgiving of 2018. And I'll never forget this experience in a lot of ways. One, Chad, her nurse, I hope he hears this, if he listens to these. He was our hospice nurse, and he was just phenomenal. He was amazing. He still does this work and does it well. I remember, I'm a realist. I'm a hopeful guy. I'm a dreamer for sure. I like big ideas, but I'm also a realist. And I remember having the conversation with him, and because we started getting to know each other, and I could see where, hospice care, and they said it could be a while, Mom. People stay alive in hospice care a while. Some do and some don't. He was real with me because I asked him to be. I wanted him to be. And he said, I don't know if he said 6 weeks. That's what I kind of remember, but he says, based on what I've seen, and this is what I see for this, and he couldn't have been any closer to that, because that's about how long she lived. We had a lot of fun with Mom. She was awake and coherent and conscious and all that for about 3 weeks when she started hospice, and then the decline started. The trajectory happened. We had a great big birthday party for her. Her birthday's December 14th, and I think we had it a little early. But I think we had 24 people in her tiny little living room, and I have that picture. And her twin brother, my Uncle Gary, he came, and we told stories, and it was good. But it was also very hard. My wife and I, and my sister and John, her husband, my sister's husband, John, my sister Tina and Travis, they came from Ohio for a little while. But just due to proximity, the care group was myself, my wife, John kind of had night watch, and my sister stayed almost every night that she could. She was still working at the time, but she was there for a lot. And in the last few weeks, Mom was not awake much. I remember going from giving her benzodiazepines, I think it is, but to the morphine. I remember that very clearly. In fact, John just gave me, I'm looking around my office, there it is. I have her medication journal. I just got that from him. I didn't know he still had it. And it's in there, and you can see the increase, and then the switch to morphine, and then just keeping her comfortable. That was our goal with Mom. When she didn't wake up for a couple weeks. And you look at an oxygen meter, the finger oxygen meter, much differently when you walk through this, because that's what you're watching, is her oxygen levels, and the slow and then really rapid progression down. And Mom would take her last breath January 9th of 2019. It's almost certain that's the date it was, I remember. And so Mom was gone. My biological father had passed 10 years ago, and I remember my Uncle Gary, him and I having talks as Mom was walking through this, and he said, "You know, David, I'm pretty close with my Uncle Gary in life now, and have been since, I don't know, the last decade or more." And he says, "You know, when you lose your mom, it changes you a bit. You just look at life a little differently, especially, once you've lost both your parents." And he was right. I still miss her to this day. I still have, excuse me, one of her, if not her last voicemail she left me. I have videos. I always say, take the pictures, friends. Take the videos. Take as many as you want. Because there'll come a time in life when that's all you're going to have is that and the memories. And so I'm grateful that we took a lot of pictures. We took a lot of videos. I laugh and I smile and I cry. And so mom would pass in 2019. I have this journal entry from May of that year. May 14th. I'm grateful for my ability to bring people together. I have an innate ability to network in the community and help facilitate conversations between key stakeholders. This is when I would start the creation of the Kittitas County Recovery Community Organization. I remember this time period. I'm grateful for my ability to fix things around the house. I can figure things out in a lot of cases instead of having to call someone. I'm pretty handy. I'm grateful for my ability to listen. I'm able to listen to people and allow them to be heard. I'm grateful for my teaching ability. I inspire students through learning. I recommend this. I was doing a grateful journal. I was seeing a counselor at this time, and it was probably, I have literally the whole month of February, I did a whole bunch of grateful journals, just things to be grateful for. And, one here, February 1st of 2020, a journal entry. I'm confident in my ability to never give up. I'm confident in my ability to take on tough tasks and see them through to completion. I'm confident in my ability to be an amazing family man in all I do. This is a poignant moment in my life with what I'm about to read. I'm in committee. Oh man. I'm close to becoming Dr. David A. Douglas. Crazy, just crazy. From where I was in the mid-90s to where I was in '06 to where I am in this very moment is amazing. I have a full and amazing life in so many ways. Personally, I couldn't be in a better place in my marriage, in my relationship with my son, in my roles in the community I live in. Professionally, I have accomplished so much. I have so many more things to accomplish. I want to make big change in how we treat substance use disorders. My dream of opening a treatment center unlike any other out there can happen. My dream of becoming a tenured faculty member of CW will happen. I will accomplish these things and more. I'm grateful for all that I have in my world. So grateful. Now, take a note of the date there, February of 2020. You'd have to have been under a rock for a while to know what would happen in March of that year. In fact, it was in this period where you started seeing it on the news, and that was the coronavirus, the pandemic. I would become Dr. D very shortly after that. I would get everything back from my committee signed off on. And it would be in March of 2020 that I would apply. I would have all the materials submitted to apply for a tenure track position in my department. It was all, the stars were aligning in that way, powerfully. Like, wow, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then a little thing called the pandemic hit. And you remember when the world shut down in March of 2020? Yep. That was taken off the table because then there was a hiring freeze on campus. And it's actually to this day that opportunity to apply for a tenure track position has never come back. I let it go. I had to let it go quickly. I always say for me and Katrina during that pandemic era, it tested a lot of marriages. In fact, a lot of divorces happened due to the pandemic. Not the pandemic itself as far as killing people in a marriage, but when the world was shut down and we were all forced into our homes and had to be in close proximity of each other for extended periods of time, I say this, people don't, they get married to be together forever, but not to be together 24/7. And that's what happened during the pandemic. And I remember well, me and Katrina, we just adapted. Sure, we irritated each other. We had to make adjustments because I was teaching online and she was still working for the city. So she had to do, we had to do work. And you know what though? Here's what I say about that time period. We walked a lot. We went on a lot of walks. Our previous dog, Chiba, who was getting older, and Daisy said, hey, you guys, we like to walk, but not this much. But we got outside and we laughed more than we got mad. We laughed more than we cried. We laughed more than anything. And that really, again, was a testament to the strength of our marriage and the progress that I had made as an individual and how I was behaving within that marriage during a stressful time. I said this in the last episode about Katrina and my mom, that they were really close, and losing my mom was hard for her. And Katrina, walked through hospice with me and my mom hand in hand, and she never skipped a beat. I remember one day I got really mad, and was like, because she wasn't doing something just so, and then, but she didn't hold it against me. I know we ended up hugging and talking it out. Katrina was really my rock through that period. So back to the pandemic. The pandemic hit, the world shut down. We did all our things online. I became Dr. D. That was the positive light of it. This is also when, so I have August 16th of 2021. So that year of 2020, we all kind of experienced similar things, the up and down, the lockdown, the mask, the no mask, all of that. We just, you know what? I've learned in my life to adapt. I've been through so much in my life that all of that was like, while it was frustrating in ways and like, oh my God, all the changes and what are we doing? I just, I've been through so much in my life that was just, we did what we had to do. So here's a journal entry from August 16th of 2021. What a period of time it has been since my last journal entry here. Wow, crazy to think all has happened. First, I'm Dr. D now. I finished what I started and graduated with a doctoral degree, a massive accomplishment. Our world has been in the throes of a pandemic since just after the last journal entry. It's been interesting to say the least. My goal of moving forward toward a tenure track position has been delayed because of this. I was upset at first, but quickly moved past that, and I'm grateful to still have my job and still get to serve students. Our world entered a pandemic that started in our state in the U.S. in March of 2020. It's been one hell of a ride ever since. The last couple months we've been coming out of it, but who knows now? It's hard to know what is up and what is down right now with it all. Katrina and I just keep doing our thing in the world the best we know how with all the changes. Tyler now lives in Ellensburg. Him and his girlfriend, so he had found a girl and they decided to move up here, and that was just awesome. Tyler had that goal. He wanted to move to Ellensburg for a while, and he made that happen. And with that move, because he had more support in Ellensburg, a stronger friend group, just to wrap around Anthony then, and it was a joint decision between him and Shania, Anthony's mom, for him to come live with his dad full time. And he made that happen. He moved up here. He started 5th grade. It says in this journal entry, in just a couple weeks. Another crazy how time flies scenario. I see my grandson nearly daily. I talk to him. I saw him today, went with him to get a haircut. He is finishing up 8th grade, and he's a good kid. We had another big change this last year, reading the journal. We opened Sunflower Preschool. And we live in the house the preschool is in. Our home on 5th is now a rental, and we live in the upstairs of the preschool. It's really pretty awesome, and we're liking it. Katrina is truly living her dream and is awe-inspiring to watch. I'm immensely proud of her in so many ways. And then I read about Chiba. Chiba, oh my Chiba. We put her down March 19th of this year. She was 13 and a half and her hips were shot. She struggled to watch. She was toughing it out and it was time to let her go. I miss her and love that I got to spend 12 years of her life with her. Daisy took it hard for a while, as did all of us. Now, well, Daisy is the only one in the house, minus Onyx the cat. Daisy is getting all the attention now and isn't complaining. I'm grateful for all I do have in the world in spite of what my brain has me worrying about. I'm grateful for a roof over my head, running water, food that is really plentiful, and clothes to wear on a daily basis. For a guy that has seen the massive depths of despair, I have a lot to be thankful for in my life. That was the summer of 2021. And I keep forgetting to say, so I'm remembering, so I'm going to say, I had started a wedding business way back in 13. It was Katrina and I, 13. I started marrying couples. I had a desire to marry couples and did that. And then I started offering DJ services, wedding coordination. So that had progressed. And my biggest year with weddings was actually going to be 2020. Now, you remember what happened then. The world shut down. In fact, we had to cancel all weddings. I gave back people their money and people postponed. And then it was 2021, I think, was our biggest. It was crazy. And then 2022 still did it. 2020, things really slowed down and I actually just closed the business. This will be the first summer in 12, 13 years that I won't be doing weddings. It's time to move on. So I just wanted to throw that in because I realized I hadn't mentioned that at all. So I had that business going throughout this time period with Katrina and I. But Katrina started the preschool. I actually record these podcasts in my office in the upstairs of what we call the preschool house. And that was a lot. I really enjoyed that time period. Katrina, I remember her saying, you know what, I want to go back to school because she graduated from Central with a degree in rec and tourism and was doing work in the with the city of Ellensburg, running the adult activity center. Did great work. Really, I've always admired her for her work ethic, her managerial skills, leadership skills, her mentoring of young people, powerful. And so one day she said, I want to go back to school and earn my teaching certificate to do what I had intended to come to do when I came to Central to go to school when she came in 2000. But she ended up on this different track. So I'm like, okay, great. So she had started school. So she went to school full time and worked full time through this all and just did it. It was hard. And I supported her every step of the way. Why? Well, because that's what you do. And she's always supported me. Always. She was, in a lot of ways, she was the one that wouldn't let me quit my doctoral program, right? And when I was earning my master's degree and just all the crazy things that I've wanted to do and try, she's always been like, okay, let's do it. So when she said this, it was a no-brainer. And I remember her, I asked her, what grade do you want to teach? And she said, well, I'd really like to open a preschool. Well, remember we were foster parents. I knew from a business standpoint, the need for good daycares and preschools in our community. I'm like, we're opening a preschool. That's just what I said. It's going to happen. So we made it happen. And that's what this journal entry is about. We opened the preschool in April of 2021. So April of this year, it'll be 4 years going strong. What she does with these kids is beyond powerful. It's so good. We like to say she probably teaches about 60% social emotional learning. And then the other 40% is, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. But she says it so well. She's like, you can't expect kids to learn if they don't have the social emotional stuff intact, right? So it's pretty powerful. Really good. So let's go. I said I'm going to wrap this up. So how do I wrap up 4 years in, say, 15 minutes? Well, let's go to a journal entry. 2021. I've got here we go. December 18th, 2022. So we're almost to 2023 here. Let's see what's going on. It's cold. It usually doesn't get this cold until a bit later, but here we are. Burr. Overall, my life is good. It's hard knowing that and still struggling. I can realistically see that I have a lot. I have a home, family, good work, and more. I have all my needs met and some, yet I still struggle. The worry is too much at times. Not being able to accept the good that I have in my life is overwhelming at times. Spending too much time in my head with the thoughts that come in and go out can be debilitating. Add to that, a lot of time I just don't want to do much. I just want to get through the day. I feel like shit because here I have a lot going for me, and others I know would kill to have the life I have, and here I am feeling sorry for myself. It's dumb, really. I remember well wishing I had a lot of the things I have, only dreaming of this life, and here I have much of what I have only once dreamed of, and I'm still longing, who knows for what. Just not happy with what I do have. Now, I go on. I am grateful for things. I'm grateful for a warm house and a comfortable place to be. I love Katrina so much, and she brings so much joy to my life. I'm grateful for the relationship Tyler and I have. I love the boys and enjoy it when I get to see them. I'm super grateful for the friendships I have in my life. Corey, Stephen, Brian, Andreas, Randy, and others. I seriously could not do this thing called life without family and friends. I do miss things. I miss my mom. I miss my dog Chiba. I miss when life felt a bit simpler. I miss feeling calmer. While the worry doesn't hold me down in ways it used to, I do miss when the weight wasn't as heavy as it has been lately. I am proud of the things I've accomplished and created in the world. When I think about how far I've come, it's crazy to think. From nothing to a lot in so many ways. Professionally and personally, I have overcome much, and I have a lot to be proud of in my world. Today, I will choose to be grateful. Today, I will choose to be content with what I have. Today, I will choose happiness. You know, reading that reminds me to remind you, if you're navigating a life in recovery, is that, you know, it's not going to be perfect. Life is still going to be life. And for me, a guy who's literally came from the streets with massive chaos, massive mental health, I remember this time period, and I've had some time periods where I still struggle in my head. But what I've learned to do is find things to be grateful for, reach out to friends, go to a counselor when I need to, talk to my doctor about medication, get my feet moving. That has always helped me. It would be November of 2021 that I would open the doors to allow community members to find resources to help their lives in recovery through the creation of the Kittitas County Recovery Community Organization. That was a beautiful thing. This organization now is thriving in the community. There's 3 locations. They got a lot going on. I would go from that very first day in November of 21 being completely volunteer. We had no money, right? And it's always been my plan to launch it, get it up and running, and then let it go. It was never my plan to work there full time forever, because I have some other ideas for some other things. But the KCRCO is a huge accomplishment for me. We would end up winning awards from the Ellensburg Downtown Association, the Chamber of Commerce. We would become quickly, in the time I was there, and it's still that way today, to become a respected and sought out entity for people in recovery in our community. And I am very proud of that accomplishment. I continue to do the great work that I love doing on campus. That would happen throughout this time. I have to note that there was a period of time with my work at Central, due to interdepartmental chaos, as I'll call it, that there was a period of time where I almost said, maybe I'm going to go do something else, because there was just too much drama, too much stuff that I was able to keep myself away from, because I'm here to teach students to do my thing. You guys want to argue, do all the infighting, you do that. But I and other colleagues were forced to defend ourselves, right? And that's been hard for me at times. But I did. I stood up for myself and the work I do and the qualifications I have, and I got through it, is the end story. And now today our department is healthy again and it's a great place to work. And I love, like, I don't feel like, you hear that, but I'm just here to tell you, I don't feel like I go to work. I love what I get to do. Katrina is doing such amazing work with the preschool. This year, we will, in September, celebrate 13 years of marriage. We'll celebrate 12 years as a dating couple in May. Our marriage is stronger than ever. My son, he impresses me regularly. Him as a father to his now 14-year-old son and 9-year-old son, it's powerful to watch his relationship with his boys and what he's done to let them know. They have no doubt. I know either of them boys have no doubt that his dad, their dad, is committed, caring, loving, and is there. Tyler would go through a divorce in 2021. I think it was 20 or 21. And I know that was really hard for him. He struggled, but he persevered. He came out stronger. And I'm proud of my son because, like, he's been single, like he's dating, I think, but he's been single for a while by choice. I see that as a pretty healthy thing. I've enjoyed telling the story of my life. I do this to give hope, to share experience, to give people their own. I don't know, if sharing my story can help someone improve their life, then I'm all in. If sharing my story as a man in this world can help another man, I'm in. If sharing my story as a father and now a grandfather can help another father or grandfather want to up the ante in their own life, I'm in. If sharing my story of my life helps 1 or 20 or 5,000 people learn that they can navigate their own individual path to live in a life in recovery, I'm in. I get to live an amazing life today. I'm going to read this last journal entry that brings us up to current time period in the last year or so. In fact, just over the last year. And then I'm going to wrap this up. What a life. This is March 17th of 2024. What a life I get to live. I'm fortunate in so many ways. A stable home, an amazing marriage, a relationship with my son that I couldn't have imagined not so long ago, a strong relationship with my grandsons, a friendship group that has stood the test of time, and colleagues I have endured with for many years. I get to live today, and for that, I'm forever grateful. I'm going to go backwards. If you've been following along, this will be familiar from several episodes ago. I'm flipping through my journal. This is the journal entry I read in one of my early podcasts. And I want you to compare the life that I have today to what it was in August of 1995. Wow, it's been 2 days short of 8 months since I wrote in this journal. To be honest, I don't remember too much. What I do know is that I want to forget. I've been on drugs, been a drug dealer, lied, cheated, stole, and broken my own heart several times. I'm now a convicted felon, which I'm still not accepted. I'm far away from where I feel I should be. I feel a little guilt, have few true friends, have yet to find a relationship worth living. I've drifted from my son. Oh boy, quite a difference a life in recovery makes. Quite a difference a life where I've been able to have access to support in a variety of different ways. And I've said this along the way here, through access to counseling, through access to doctors, through access to stable living, through access to education, to jobs, and I can go on and on and on. What a life I get to live. I'm fortunate in so many ways. I'm going to sneeze, so I'm trying to stop it. But that didn't work, so you get a sneeze on the podcast. I hope you enjoyed that. I get to live today, and for that, I'm forever grateful. My wife and I leave tomorrow morning. Wait, let me back up, because this podcast will go live on, let me look at the calendar here. Oh yeah, on March 28th. So when you guys hear this, if you've listened all the way through to this, I don't know how many people actually listen all the way through. We're in sunny Arizona when you get this. It'll go live on Friday, the 28th. And we will just be wrapping up our annual spring break trip to sunny Arizona. I get to do these things in my life today. Why? Because I've changed my life. I've changed my life to a life of despair, guilt, shame, sorrow, to a life filled with hope and promise. I get to do a lot today. Today, I got to go with my grandson down to get his hair cut. And I got to go with him because he came by and he said, hey, Grandpa, you going with me? I'm like, oh, yep, I guess so. I get to have conversations with my son about light, funny stuff and hard stuff. I get to live an amazing life today. Love to all.